Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, happy third day. Happy almost Thanksgiving. So many things to be happy about. Awesome. So we're going to start off today, as we do usually, have some time for reflections. If you guys don't mind, I would like to start. So I was reflecting on this process, and if you bear with me on my little analogy I thought of. So we've been together since May, and it's November. So that means we've been together for 6 months. And as all of you all know, when you're at 6 months, children are kind of, learning how to hold their body up, rolling side to side, maybe starting to crawl, but not really sure. Are we crawling backwards or forwards? So I think that's where we are right now as a group. Right, we're about 6 months in. We have a few more months left. We're still learning each other. We've done a lot of tweaking of the process. And so what really sparked this for me was that even when I was talking to Renee, I've known Renee for a while now, and we brought her in because she's a national facilitator and trainer. And actually last night we were talking, and we discovered that she actually worked in Georgia, the Department of Early Care and Learn. DECAL. I know, I always say DECAL. So the Georgia equivalent of DAL. And when she worked there, she actually helped consolidate the CCR&Rs in the state. So she actually has a background in early childhood education as well in a different way than a lot of you in the room. But I was surprised to hear that because I only knew her from that perspective that I know her as her label. If we were to give her a label, we would say she is a facilitator trainer. And then after talking to her, even though we've known each other for a long time, I learned more about her. Also, with the parent group yesterday, I had some discussions, and someone told me that their day-to-day, they work with children with challenging behaviors. So know a lot about social emotional education and how to work with children. So even though their label is parents, I learned that they also have a different perspective that they bring to the table. So despite knowing each other for 6 months now, there are a lot of things that we say and do our actions in this room that I think we still have a lot to learn from each other. And it wasn't until Renee told me, I asked some follow-up questions, or until I talked to the parents and asked some follow-up questions, that I learned that the reason why they said what they said is because they have this other hat that they wear that is not what's on the table. So, part of it is me asking questions, but part of it is also the parent or Renee reflecting on why I would want to know something from their background. So asking yourself, why did I say what I say? Why do I have that perspective? It may not be my parent hat. It might be this other experience. And how would they know unless I reflect myself first and say that before I say my comment? So I just want to put that out there. That was my little reflection. Thank you for bearing with my analogy. On Sundays, I feel like we usually get in a routine. We know our protocol. But I want to encourage you to think about your perspectives and asking each other your perspectives outside of your labels. All right, thank you. So anyone else?
TA resolution group yesterday, which is the only one I've done so far this weekend. A side issue came up that, upon reflection, was really a concern for me. And it came up with discussion specifically, kind of sidebar in that, but we were kind of, and talking about self-reporting. And not everyone in childcare has staff, but most of us do. And there may be times when the staff either do something inappropriate where they have to be terminated, or they violate a WAC and they have to be terminated. And no matter what a provider has done, the trainings, the education, and all the steps that we have to go through to make sure our staff are prepared to do this job, things happen, and there are times where the regulations require us to notify Dell of those violations. Even though they weren't done directly by us, they were done by our staff. And in that context then, with these weighted WACs, we are self-reporting a violation and we are incurring a weight on our total accumulations. And this is just a general, I'm not saying, you know, weights need to be, well, some of the weights do need to be changed, sorry, but not eliminated. But this is self-reporting part of it. If the provider themselves directly does not violate the WAC, and they've done everything in their power and gone through all the correct steps to make sure their staff have complied with all of the things that we're supposed to do, that I don't think providers should be penalized if they self-report.
Sure.
So that in particular came from a discussion about prohibition and whether by fire, and this was in discussion about the cigarettes and illegal drugs usage in an establishment. We made a very clear implementation note, and Dell agreed to it, that in the instance that something like that were to occur and the provider were to self-report, there would be no penalization, there would be no weight applied in that case, because if that happens and the provider fires that person or stops it immediately, that is prohibiting, and thus there is no weight incurred there. I just wanted to make that clear. We're about to discuss that section as we start.
Comments on that one, but this is the first time that that has been addressed, even though all of these other WACs that we have gone over, that has not come up. And that comment has not been noted with those WACs. This is the first time that has happened. And so maybe as we go along, we can make sure that those comments are included in all of the WACs that we do where we may have to self-report.
Judy, did you want to respond to that, or do you have other reflections?
I can only tell you that Dell is also aware of the conflict with self-reporting and getting penalized. There are some pieces of it that we can't change. If it comes down to an allegation that would rise to the level of child abuse or neglect, then that has to be investigated. And that could or could not result in a valid or a founded finding. But for the rest of it, I want you to all be aware in this room that Dell is already looking at and trying to figure out what to do with this. We don't want to be penalizing you for doing the right thing, but I'm not sure how that will be resolved at this point. So, but we hear you, and actually we heard you before we ever even got to negotiation. So we are working on it.
Okay, family child care again.
To do with us is just personally. I remember I had I used to wish, go, oh my goodness, I just need to get away from my family home just once a month. It would just be such a relaxing and enjoyable experience. Now that we've been doing this for 6 months, I'm like, oh God, I just want my bed. I just want my, you know what I mean? So that's my reflection. It's been, I've enjoyed meeting all of you all, and it's been a piece of me that's been able to sit at each table. You know, like you said, Tina, we wear all those different hats. So it's been fun, but boy, you know, you gotta be careful what you wish for. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thanks everyone. All right, so let's talk about our favorite topic, scheduling. I tried to make it a little prettier for you to entertain you here. So this is February, and we had some feedback on how the 16th through 18th does not work for people. So here are the results. The 2nd through the 4th, that was licensing and centers top choice. 16th through 18th were parents and family homes first choice. The 23rd through 24th was Head Start ECAPS first choice. And you'll see that the 16th through 18th is also when Dr. Feeney is available. There's also a tie between SeaTac and Olympia. So the reason why we picked 16th through 18th was because of 2 votes on that time, also because Dr. Feeney could be there, and then because of the request for Dr. Feeney to be there, SeaTac was much more convenient for him to come and join the meeting, and so that's why of the tie we picked SeaTac. So since then, we've heard from everyone. There's some people who think that there was a request for Dr. Feeney, but that was this one specific group. People have said maybe we don't need him there. We could do that Zoom situation again, or the video, I'm sorry. If you guys have specific questions, we can pre-record something as well. So I will open it up. The 19th, the star means it's a holiday. It's President's Day. So I'll open it up. I know that you all had some time. I asked you all yesterday after to take some time to meet with your teams to discuss when you'd like to meet. So I'll start with centers.
I thought that we were going to keep it in the SeaTac area because of whoever's traveling, the convenience to the airport and not having the additional drive time. I thought that, so I'm sorry.
That was a priority for some, but
Okay.
it was an equal vote between SeaTac and Olympia.
Okay.
I would like to ask centers, since you guys were the first ones who brought up that you couldn't do the 16th or 18th, if you have any further discussion.
Because we really can't field a team for the 16th through the 18th, we would prioritize being able to attend at all over Dr. Feeney being there. So that's our priority.
Okay. I'm going to go to parents next, if you're ready. No, you're not. Do you guys want a 2-minute team caucus? All right, we'll put 2 minutes on the clock.
Time, except March 1st and 2nd. Pardon? Yeah, yeah.
I get home tonight at 8 o'clock and I have to attend.
That's true.
Yep. I don't care.
SeaTac's close to me. I mean, I don't care if I come.
Okay, well, I think that our preference would be SeaTac, because if the weather's bad, we could fly you guys over in the blows.
Exactly.
Yeah, and for me, so I can't be there on either the 16th or the 23rd.
What's the 9th or 11th? Was that just because Feeney couldn't come?
No, I think that nobody picked it as one of their dates.
Weren't we only given 1 or 2 days?
I don't even know. I think I mean, I could do the 9th, but
That's terrible.
that would be terrible.
Katie.
What day's Lobby Day? What day's the conference?
Eight.
Yeah, you have your last days of the day, right?
Yes.
And then I get on the plane on the 9th, so I'm not doing the 9th.
I mean, we could do the 2nd. Yeah, man,
That's
that's going to
the
be a
better-
harsh week for me. So
What's wrong with the 23rd again?
it's fine, except for that I can't be there.
And neither can
Lori.
I.
Okay.
But we had picked a date. That's the date that we had picked before as being.
Well, we can, but several of us will do it.
So I can't be there the last 2 weeks, but so our preference is probably the first one. Second and third.
Well, we just have to be really organized, Katie, so we're ready.
You know what? I can't remember our previous discussion, but I think that there were other people at the table, and they probably didn't like the second and third.
Is that our January dates are the 5th, 6th, and 7th, and if we wait until the 23rd and 24th of February, that's almost 60 days between coming together, and that's a long gap. We're trying to maintain momentum and keep finished. That's it. Nobody cares.
Well, yeah.
You know, I want to slow roll this whole process, but
But we're going to pick it in May anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I'm thinking July then. The 4th of July, we'll all be
I have a
together on
wedding.
the 4th of July.
save the date for a
And
wedding
we'll
on
make it
July
really
4th
festive. We'll
in
all bring our
August.
families and kids, grandkids.
I have a red, white, blue shirt.
Add a red wine. We'll fill up that pool. We were walking around. Those two, the pools were full of kids. Their kids, and then baseball teams were there. So they had like two little pools, right? There was kids everywhere. But you know how they go to a hotel pool. And they can say, go swim.
We always, when we travel with Tucker and have control, we always find a place with a single pool because it's so much nicer to just at the end of the long driving, just dump him in the pool and let him
Play.
get that energy out. Yeah.
Well, my favorite thing used to be, I'd come home from work, get him a snack, come in the swimsuits, go to the Y, big swim, come home in their pajamas, eat whatever stuff is in our crock pot.
It's not any worse for me to do it the 3 days before the conference than it is to do it 3 days after the conference. They're both terrible. Because of the amount of prep that I have to do for that conference. So, I mean, if the 9th and 10th.
But you got a better helper now.
Yes.
Well,
A
and
stronger
let's be
helper, I
true
should
that
say.
let's be clear that probably leading into February, there's not going to be a lot of prep. Like we're gonna, it's going to be a review of everything we've already done, so it's not going to be.
So, what do you guys think about the 9th, 10th, and 11th? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
We prefer the second or third or the ninth.
You, and Katie, you prefer to do it before your conference than after? It really doesn't make any difference to me. They both suck. Every weekend in February sucks for me. So,
Yeah, it's hard.
there's no,
Mine,
they're all bad in different ways.
and mine don't suck, because I'll be in San Diego and Mexico.
Yes, well, I went to Mexico too.
Will you?
For the 23rd, 24th one.
And my
Because I'm
sister,
leaving on the 17th.
and my sister and brother-in-law are coming down. We're having
Let's have negotiated. Everybody's coming out of Mexico. We'll have negotiated.
your vacation is spoken.
Husband's gone, Yaya's home, it'll be near my house, so I'll go home every night.
Yeah. You better wake up, Judy. We've gone so much. Just want to be able to do things.
And senior cat?
Yes.
January's is the 6th and 7th, right?
She did not put it up.
Yes.
When I first saw her, I didn't recognize her, and I was walking, and then I turned back around and said, she's not wearing her hair. I know that pretty lady. Of course, I was taking a breath. I was taking a breath. Just say, this is some long journey.
So I should have told Mom where Allie was hiding because it took her an hour to find her.
She's in that little spot between the suitcase and she likes it there. Well, you know, I don't have a dresser, but we have shelves, we have baskets that we put our clothes in. Sometimes I walk in and it'll be pitch black, dark, and all of a sudden there's these little eyes. As he gets in on top of my clothes, I have to shoo him out of there. They're like, who's on the shelf? There's this much room, right? The basket's there. He's all. I made him his own basket. He still wants to get in the mornings and has my clothes in it. Or Michael's clothes, right? Whoever's. He's not that picky about which basket it is. He just has our stuff in it. That's what I think, yeah. That's exactly my thought. Was it must be because it smells like it.
Anyway, yeah, this sucks. This new coach. And the worst part is, so we suggested if you want to check taking off services because of budget pressure, you can do it on the straight side of the road. And that's already been rated, but in the process of with mistakes. Same with system is the change of providers were approved for their first initial rating.
Stupid.
I don't, I mean, that's what we
You
said.
could say you took an unscientific poll and the answer is that's stupid.
Oh, I screamed. I said really nasty things. And then I went to the spa and got my composure and wrote constructive thoughts. I was angry. All right.
Show the genuine conception on the calendar. So you're gonna look at this. National Head Start Association wants to recommit to the parent and the engagement. Like the center for practice, they work on like practice sessions with physical at the TLC, right? Well, registration. That's it. Well, I'm emailing them back to say, but and they can't, they don't even know what hotel it would be in, because, you know, one session, 2 hours, whatever it is, or 90, I can't remember how long they are. It's in Austin, Texas, so I don't actually mind going, right? Like, Michael maybe could come with me, because he's never been to Austin, so.
What's it for?
The National Head Start Association, but they want me to come. And they want me to pay my airfare and my hotel. The only thing, and food. The only thing they'll come off is my registration. And I can only stay the one day. I have to fly. I can't stay for the whole conference.
So thanks, but
Well, that's, yeah. Lisa's like, wait. And I'm like, Lisa, what?
that's ridiculous.
Well, and then I said, if you're asking me to ask my program to pay this, I have to give them some idea about what this will cost. Well, we don't know where we're going to get over. We're at a hotel room, so blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
It's gonna cost you at least $200 a night.
well, that's
wherever
what
it
she
is.
said, right? So that's what I sent Kay, you know. But Kay's going to say, no. Now, when America's taking me to something, they're like, okay, we're paying for everything, just like we would if we were taking you to something. But I was just laughing. And the reason I'm telling Kay is cheap they are when they have money. They have lots of money. They have lots of money and they do shit like that. Because as soon as I said I wasn't planning on coming, that's when they had opportunity to say, well, we'll come, whatever. You know. But it's too early in December for us to prepare to just elected in the policy council leadership this week. I can't ask them like, okay, now all of you, all 11 of you, get on a plane and go to Austin. So we're taking them to that video conference.
December 26th.
They didn't hear you. They didn't hear you. It's awesome. I don't understand what's going on. Oh. She hasn't said like people need more time or anything. That's what's not clear. I totally would respect whoever needs more time, but they should say. So what did you say the Jamie that day was doing?
I have that first weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, it's not on my calendar. Where are we at? Allison, where are we at?
Yesterday they said CTAC.
We don't.
I think it's CTAC. No, we did the CTAC.
Either one of those are easy. Easy peasy. You and I. Right, easy. Well, and for most of them. Just saying, like, this is most of them. But I'm glad they didn't. It's true, we were in Yolanda's area the first time. Okay, 5th, 6th, and 7th, right? Ask the question. Say what changes the rule, or what changes the protocol, the procedure, whatever we're doing. Yeah. Last night, and they held them until 7 o'clock at night in the meeting. No. But the thing about it is laying the foundation so when this stuff gets wonky, you can have a well, you can have a place to come back and say, okay. Actually, the second, third, and the fourth, and the second, and the third, we have like some of these, but we can make that. I mean, Kelly and those guys can take it. I try to be there when I can, you know. But yeah, we could send Joe. I was sick then. Like, I've been sick for a long time, kid. Since November 1st. And yesterday and today I'm starting to feel more back to same old. Yeah, we end on the 8th. I come home, finish packing my bags, and we get on a plane on the 9th. I even looked at leaving. Yes. Yep. Well, we would have probably left later, but we're going to go stay with the kids for 4 or 5 days before we actually go to. We're going to go see them before we fly to. Every year, at least once. My mom has a condo there. She almost has her whole.
All right. Looks like we have some decisions. So I already added centers to the 23rd through 25th. We'll hear from parents, if you're ready.
The parents are going along with 9, 10, 11. Did I mess up?
9, 10, 11 is an option.
Thank you.
Maybe we give a second for all of the groups to consider that. All right, I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock. Consider 9, 10, 11.
Can I also say one more thing? Everybody, can I also say one more thing? 2, 3, 4, we're going to be short people. The 16th and the 17th, 18th, That was perfect. We had everybody there. And don't make me pull my trump card based on what we said the other time, which we came Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And it was really hard for us. But I'm not pulling my trump card yet. I'm saving it. Thank you. Also, we chose the 9th, 10th, and 11th because we have 4 parents that are going to be in a WASA conference in Olympia that week.
So they're already there. They are, that's their preference.
Right? Either of those two? 9, 10, 11, or the 15, 16, 17.
But it sounds like that was taken off the table, so we're stuck with. It wasn't really taken off the table. We didn't consider it, we were looking at all the weekends. We talked about them. We don't consider ourselves constrained by whatever's on the page. That would be great.
It's recorded, oh yeah.
What?
They got their contract back for
All right, so let's try again. Now that you guys have all weekends back on the table, let's just go in a circle around the room. It doesn't matter. Let's start with family childcare.
offer, the holiday weekend was the best for us, but we realized that centers might only be able to have 2 people on the holiday weekend. And so that's not even a quorum for them. So our next best preference is the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. But we would prefer the holiday weekend, and we really want CTAC.
Okay, I want to remind people, we got some clarification on protocol. You need half plus 1, which means 6 people for quorum. Dell licensing?
Dell licensing will do any of the weekends up there. Our preference would be to start with the 16th. If that cannot be done, then we would go with the 9th, and our third choice would be the last weekend.
Okay,
And we also prefer CTAC.
parents? Okay. That's our ECAP.
We also prefer CTAC, and we can make any one of these work, but our preference would be one of the first 2 weeks. But we'll go with whatever you guys decide.
One of the first 2 weeks?
Second and third.
These two.
Yeah, second and third, or 9 and 10.
Okay. Centers?
Our favorite is the last weekend if we can't, is the last weekend in CTAC.
So since it's not on the mic, I'll just say that out loud. Center said their preference is the last weekends of 23rd through 25th in CTAC, which just brings us back to parents.
Our best choice, our first choice, was the 16th, 17th, and 18th. The next best choice, second best choice, where we would have everyone there, is the 9th, 10th, and the 11th. The 23rd, 4th, and 5th, we won't have everybody there, and we won't have enough people there to have a quorum.
And your
Okay.
location choice?
We had put down the 9th, 10th, and 11th in Olympia. We have people that are already going to be up there with WASA.
If it's
that
9,
day.
10, 11, Olympia. Otherwise, I think I heard CTAC. Is that right? Okay. All right, centers?
It might feel like a quick turnaround, but should we throw the last weekend of January up there since we're doing the first weekend in January? Just to throw out another option? No? Groaning equals no.
Okay, I have another option. It doesn't sound like we're going to find a date that works for everybody. So we could break from protocol, if you all agree, and reduce the size of your teams. We could go with a 5-member team or a 3-member team. We do plan to have a couple prep sessions that Tina's going to talk to you about between now and January so that we can get through a lot in January. Hopefully that doesn't leave much on the table for February. Yes.
As being a lead for the first time this weekend, what I have found is that having less people present for my team does make decision-making easier.
You know, you're not supposed to say that out loud.
Oops. But the other side of that coin is that I have less eyes giving me input into the nuances of the WAC. So, I would not want to go with less than 5. 3 people representing a team would not be enough for me, in my opinion. The other part of that is like I said before, we have trainings that are not yet on the books. we are flexible with our date even more than what I stated. Those were our two preferences, but those other 2 weekends are not absolutely out for us.
So I heard that you're okay with a group of 5, but not 3. Okay. Parents?
Is it working? I just didn't hear that things didn't work for groups on the 9th, 10th, 11th, or the 2nd through the 4th. Does either of those weekends not work for anyone? So both of those are options.
We are okay. SRD-CAP's okay.
First weekend is an option for us. The 9th, 10th, the 2 middle weekends, we can't field a team for. But the first weekend or the last weekend are the weekends we can.
All right, one more team caucus. Let's consider 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. Just 2, 3, 4. Let's consider just 2, 3, 4 at a group of 5.
They took the bacon on 2, 3, 4. That's actually the best one. But you guys, we'll just help with prep tonight. Whatever help it. We can all divvy out the prep for the conference jury. I wouldn't mind doing that. I wouldn't mind having my hands busy doing something quite honestly. Right? We can still like conference folders while we sit here.
Buy her underpants, whatever she needs.
Do you need socks? I do clean socks. Okay. She didn't wear any. She went shopping in Rochester. No socks. Let's go. I don't believe so. There's a mall now. The Meijer. You can go inside Meijer. It's probably called Outlet. And that's the grocery store. Grocery outlet? It's called Broadmoor Park Outlet Mall. That's not an outlet mall. Go to like a Meijer. Or a Target. Or go to Grocery Outlet. You'll get cheap socks there. They were so pretty and you have to wear two at the same time. I do and then you can just throw them away.
Okay, who wants to go first? Who wants to go first? All right, family childcare. Let's hear from you.
We're okay with the first weekend, but it absolutely has to be in CTAC.
Okay. Parents? Okay, licensing is going to go next. We'll go in a circle. We'll go around. Licensing?
Okay, so we have a couple of thoughts here. First of all, way back in the beginning of this whole process, there was talk about the final review being done individually and then the team leads would do it. But we know that in February, they're also wanting to do a weight exercise. We're proposing that perhaps we make it only a 2-day in February, and that may make it easier for people. And that if necessary, that the teams meet prior to that, and then the team leads or a small group get together and do it. We're good with any weekend, but that's just a alternative that might make it a little more palatable for some people.
Let's see what people came up with outside of that first, and then we can go to that as plan B. Heads Up ECAP, I heard 2, 3, 4.
We're
was
fine
good.
with that. We like CTAC. We can go 2 days. We can reduce our team to 5. Whatever you guys want.
Thank you, Heads Up ECAP.
We prefer Hawaii. Yes. We would prefer Mexico would be okay too.
Centers, you want to go next?
First weekend is great. CTAC is necessary.
And the answer is
Drum roll, please.
2, 3. Wait, your drum roll, please. Okay, 2, 3, 4. CTAC.
2, 3, 4 CTAC. Let's do it. Thank you, everyone. I know that's not easy. All right, licensing would like to jump in.
So, hello. Thank you. If we're fine with the first weekend. However, Sunday is Super Bowl weekend, and I would like to be home Sunday. So, if we could do a Friday, Saturday, cool, and be home Sunday, that would be really great.
Well, I should. The Super Bowl game will be really fun.
Okay, let's, yes, parents. All right, parents and then centers. All right, parents.
I would just like to say, the parents, we are really trying hard, but when we're first asked what will work, give your reasons then. Not that I don't like football, don't get me wrong, but it's just, you know, we'll be down a person.
Because of childcare issues, we don't have another person.
Because of their PTA commitment, and then to throw in football. Sorry, I'm hating on football. I don't really care. It would have been nice for that to be said beforehand. So when we were deciding and feeling bad that we had to leave some people behind.
So some groups may leave behind their football fans, is what I think I'm hearing you say.
All I ask is that we go, could it not go to a 2-day? That we just do Friday and Saturday?
Let's see how, I think we have to see how January goes, how far we can get. You know, part of how far we get in January is how far we get today. So.
The only reason why I was bringing up the PTA commitment is because of the fact that that particular parent would not be able to come on Friday.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Centers, last comment? No, okay. I'm gonna say right now that we'll go with 2, 3, 4. If we can cut it down shorter through our progress today, our progress January, through your in-between work together, between January and February, we might be able to do 2-day. We'll work together to try to get there. Yep, okay.
It'll be like a 3 o'clock game. You'll be fine. The Super Bowl is never at 10 a.m. Or 11, or 12, or 1. I have to drive. Oh, bye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. No, scheduling is not easy. We are already 20 minutes behind. We're already 20 minutes behind schedule. So before we get into that, I just want to make sure you know what's happening today and that we discuss a few more logistics. So people have asked where we're going today. You want to make sure that you have a radar. These two are in queue for resolution. Supervising children, you asked to review with 0350 and 0360 program and daily activity schedule. So those two are in queue for small group at this point. Here's a long list of the Dell Tech Writer queue that you created so far. I talked to Dell Tech Writers, and they've committed to making sure that these edits come back to you before January. If you can commit to meeting with them at a prep team, we can do it by webinar again to review them, so we have that time in a small group time to review that language, that when it gets to the full group, it's been vetted again. We also talked last month about how in prep for January, we want to look at professional development ahead of time in a prep team setting. So what I'm proposing here is 2 separate calls. It doesn't have to be the same group of people. You can split your team up, where one group is really looking at professional development and the other is looking at what Dell Tech writers have come back with. That's your choice, of course, how you want to split your duties. So that would be between this meeting and January 5th, 6th, and 7th. So questions? Sure.
Just clarification. So, did you say that things that we have tabled to tech writers will not be resolved for us to review this weekend, or that we are going to be going through the things that we did to tech writers and that we're hoping to be able to go through that today? No.
Dell Tech writers have a long list, as you can see.
Okay.
So they're going to commit to doing that as soon as possible,
Okay.
sending it out, and then a small group can get together by phone or in person if you guys decide in person works, between now and the January meeting.
It's a long time in between. Okay.
There's a number of weeks in between, right? So hopefully you guys can commit to that. And then the second commitment from you all between now and January is to have a small group look at all of professional development in the same prep team format that we've been doing in the past and what we did for for November. So any questions about what I'm proposing? Okay, then I'd like to measure consensus and commitment from all groups to have 2 prep teams before January. One to focus on professional development and one to focus on the Dell Tech Writer language. Family, child care, all 5s. Licensing. We're committing to having 2 prep teams between now and January. I'm measuring consensus on that. All 5s from licensing. Parents?
So is that over the phone, or is that like we did in Issaquah and Bellevue in person?
I think it should be over the phone given the holidays.
Thank you.
So that's what we would set up 2 doodle polls for you, one for each of those, and we'd do it by phone, and PCG would monitor it via WebEx. So parents measuring consensus on commitment for that. Okay, all 5s and Head Start ECAP. All 5s and centers, all 5s. All right, great. So we'll do that. We'll set up your doodle poll. Dell Tech writers will commit to getting the language out. We'll also resend you the professional development as is, so you have that. All right. Thank you, everyone. All right, let's get started then. We're going to start with 0420, which just came back from small group, and Zane will lead us through that one. Yes. Good idea. 3-minute caucus for the small group to report back on prohibited substances.
Oh, prohibitive substances review. Yes. We're all good in the hood? They were going to work on some language. So one of the things like I should get that in with my everyone was, they also put in the note to, for yourself, because one of your staff
any availability on the day after? Day before it is. I already took the day off work.
All right. Do we need any additional time? Okay. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Facilitators need like another minute. Facilitators are sidebarring with Dell licensing.
Yeah. For 5 different things though, right? Yeah. Yeah. And then you lose it. Tell me.
All right. We are going to move forward now. Lori, can you scroll up to subsection 1? Well, yeah. Okay. I'm looking at Dell licensing now.
Couple more minutes to caucus, because we're
Okay.
thinking we may need to do a little more tweaking.
2 more minutes on the clock. Sorry for the delay. Just a little tweak in the wording.
He's out for the season. He tore his Achilles. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I'm out for the season. I'm done for the season. Yes. Ooh, speaking of, Matt wanted to go to the game Monday night. I wonder if Dave's
So, as an update, everyone, there is a slight contradiction in the wording that came up yesterday in our small group TA resolution group. Tech writers are going to make one teensy, tiny, bitty little. It may be they're going to be working on it, and so we're going to move on to program administration. 0440. It is facility licensing compliance agreements, no referral status, probationary license, and provider rights. Give everybody a minute to find the section. It's on page, if you're looking at the Word document, it's page 196 of 234. Everybody ready to move forward? Do we need another second to find it? I'm going to take those, yes. I'm just going to go ahead and read it and, build in some time there. So, subsection 1 of section 0440. At the department's discretion, when an early learning provider is in violation of this chapter or chapter 43-215 RCW, a facility licensing compliance agreement, or FLCA, may be issued in lieu of the department taking enforcement action. The FLCA must contain A description of the violation and the law or rule that was violated, B, a proposed plan from the provider or a designee to comply with the law or rule, C, the date the violation must be corrected, determined by 1, the seriousness of the violation, 2, the potential threat to the health, safety, and well-being of the children in care, and 3, the number of times the early learning program has violated rules in this chapter or under chapter 43-215 RCW. D, sorry about that. Information regarding other licensing action that may be imposed if compliance does not occur by the required date. E, the signature of the department licensor and the provider. Weight 0. Whoa. 2, the department takes compliance actions or enforcement actions based on single visit scores and overall licensing scores pursuant to WAC 17300-0442 and 0443. Wait, did we go too far? We went too far. Sorry, guys. All right, so scroll down, Lori, gently, right up there. 2, an early learning provider must return a copy of the completed FLCA to the department after corrective action has been completed and by the date indicated. Weight number 1. 3. An early learning provider may request a supervisory review regarding the violation of laws or rules within 10 calendar days of the violation being identified on the FLICA. Weight 0. 4. The FLICA is not subject to appeal under Chapter 170.03 WAC, Dell Hearing Rules. Weight 0. 5. An early learning program or provider has the right to A, refuse to accept or sign a FLICA, or B, refuse to agree to a probationary license. Weight 0. 6. If an early learning provider refuses a FLICA or probationary license, this may result in one of the following enforcement actions. A, modification of the license. B, non-continuation of a non-expiring license. C, suspension of the license. D, revocation of the license. Or E, civil penalties. Weight 0. The department may place an early learning provider on no referral status pursuant to RCW 43-215-300 subsection 4, in addition to or in lieu of an enforcement action under this chapter. Weight 0. Subsection 8, a probationary license may be issued to an early learning provider or program operating under a non-expiring license as part of a corrective action plan. Prior to issuing a probationary license, the department must refer the program or provider for technical assistance pursuant to RCW 43-215-290, subsection 2. Weight 0. Subsection 9. A department decision to issue probationary license is based on an early learning program or provider's A, negligent or intentional compliance with the licensing rules. B, non-compliance, yes. B, history of non-compliance with the licensing rules. C, current non-compliance with the licensing rules. And that's it. Weight of 0. 10. When the department issues a probationary license, the early learning provider must A, provide notice of the probationary license and a copy of the department's probationary licensing agreement to the parents and guardians of enrolled children within 5 business days of receiving the probationary license. B, provide documentation to the department that parents or guardians of enrolled children may have notified within 10 business days of receiving the probationary license. C, inform new parents or guardians of the probationary status before enrolling new children into care. D, post documentation of the approved written probationary license as required by RCW 43-215-525. And E, return to the early learning program's non-expiring license to the department. Weight number 1. Is there anything more? Nope, that's it. Let's start from the top. How's everybody feeling? Any comments on subsection 1? Yes, ma'am.
Not see anywhere where the provider is allowed to make comments on the FLICA. Is that not necessary, or did I miss it? Or because it says our signature, but it doesn't say anything about us making comments.
One 1B says a proposed plan from the provider or a designee to comply. And so that would be indicating that it would be your plan or your comments.
Thank you.
I was just informed we have, there was a little bit of a change, so when we finish reading this out, we give everybody a 2-minute caucus to talk through this. Sorry about that, guys. So we are going to begin a 2-minute caucus so we can talk amongst ourselves about this section.
But I'm curious about where the pre-probationary, I think I'd love to see a call. If a provider referred to pre-probationary or support provider agrees with the age of pre-probationary service. It's not really utilized by life. I don't know where, it doesn't come into one, it's down that way. Yeah, so there's a budget. We have a contract. Each of our regions has a contract to offer pre-probationary services. So it's a yes, it's before they go into probation. So when they know that they're so licensing they refer to the region, yeah, to their region. So we have a separate team that deployed for pre-probation probationary, we have a separate team, a lot of regions as part of the team, and they can go in a different focus to focus on, the compliance and probation. Oh, it's totally not utilized. And providers should be able to ask for it.
And I've never either. Look how long we've had. Look how long we've had child care partnership. Since 1996. Yes.
And they should at least have that.
Well, and we might know.
EA has to cease services. If you're on a probationary license, we have to cease services. You lose your status basically, and your focus becomes cease. Cease and desist.
So in a pre-probationary,
Continue services, exactly. And we have a separate, we have a whole probationary referral process where licensors can refer providers and it's really, licensing for to become in compliance with that.
Why do you think they're not using it? Do they not know of it either?
I think that put a provider on probation and even use that term licensing don't just want, don't do that. They're afraid to use it, they're afraid to use probation, and I should get changed something. And I think they're.
And we're back. Does anyone require any additional time? Okay. Let's roll. Any comments on subsection 1 before we take consensus as it's written? Okay. All right, let's do some voting here. Consensus taking. Head Start, go ahead.
Right. So we actually have an implementation question, which is that that all the child care aware regions around the state have a contract to do technical assistance and coaching for pre-probationary situations, and they're to be referred by licensing. So if licensing sees that there may be an issue coming down the road. And so we've got our person over here from the King Pierce Child Care Aware, and they have only had like 2 in the whole year. So I wonder, I guess when I think about implementation and the seriousness of this probation, whether or not there's enough awareness or use of that system.
Dell is responding to that we do use the system, but for a variety of reasons, it doesn't maybe get used as much as it could, in part because they're already working with, they may already be an EA, and so they're already working with EA. We're providing the technical assistance. I mean, there's a variety of reasons why it doesn't get used the way it might seem like it could. There also are times when they will tell us they don't have the capacity or they really are limited in capacity. It's available for licensors to make the referral. We cannot issue a probationary license without first offering the opportunity for pre-probation technical assistance and assistance to bring a provider back into compliance.
Family Homes?
We have a question about that technical assistance through CCA. Is it my understanding that when a licensor requests technical assistance for a provider, isn't there like an electronic trail? Don't they request that electronically and then that gets sent to CCA? Is that correct?
We have a form we do on the computer and we send it to them. But in order for us to request it, it has to be pre-probation, where in the past we had just technical assistance through CCA. We
Correct.
don't have that anymore. It has to be tied to pre-probation. So, but yes, there is a form.
Okay, the other half of that question is being a participant in Early Achievers versus having colleagues that are not in Early Achievers. The feedback I have gotten is that those people who are not in Early Achievers are less likely to get that technical support.
True, because you have to be, the only way that we can request it is to be saying this person is needing a probationary license unless this gets changed.
Okay, thank you.
And we've noted that as well in our implementation notes here. All right. Any other comments? Let's see some hands. I'm going to start with Family Homes. I see 3 4s, 1 3. No, 4 4s, 1 3. There we go. Let's look over here to licensing is all 5s. Parents is all 5s and 1 4. Head Start is all 5s. And centers are debating.
And on CIII, the number of times the early learning program has violated rules in this chapter or under chapter. So on the FLICA itself, it would actually have to say your total tally of times that you had anything ever over what time period?
It's 3 years, right?
Doesn't say that.
Looking at licensing, if they want to comment on that.
We'll find in the enforcement rules, this is more informational, that these are the things we would look at and consider. But in the enforcement rules, you will see the number of times and for how long.
It is 3 years, though, correct?
Yes, it is 3 years.
Would you like to vote or?
I know there's no way. I get that.
Senators have asked to add in on Part C, Subpart 3.
Well, I'm assuming that's what 3.2.1I is referencing statute instead of the 3 years of statute of limitations. So it is in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's confusing to people if they're.
Do so. Do senators still stand by? They still want to keep this edit in?
To me, this is very much like when we went through the one that said this is what we'll consider when we're going to determine capacity. We're not attempting to outline how we'll look at square feet or how we'll do these things. It's just that these are the things we'll look at, and that's basically what this is identifying here. These are the things that would be looked at and considered to develop a FLICA, but the actual enforcement action outlines more how we're going to be doing that.
Would you like to caucus for 50 seconds, 60 seconds? I'm going to give them a caucus for 60 seconds. By them, I meant senators.
I actually do go to the bathroom on Sunday a lot, especially the previous week was like a flurry.
Okay, right on time too. All right, we're back. So there was a proposed edit, so we have to go before the groups again to vote on this particular edit. I'm going to start with centers. Voting. Just the edit, and then we go back and do the whole thing again. 5s from centers. Head Start ECAP. 5s, parents. 5s. And Dell licensing is blocking. And family home childcare, all 5s. Dell licensing.
It's already in RCW. It is just defining what would be considered, and we do not believe that this is the place that that should be. And we also don't want people thinking that we've got to go back through files for 3 years if that isn't, to find it. We want it clear that that is a possibility, that we would go back through the number of times, but not that it isn't an absolute everything time.
3 years is the max, but it may be less.
Yes.
It is.
Family homes had a comment.
I understand that licensing wants to give us more flexibility in this, and so maybe there's some other way that can be worded. But in previous WAC revisions that we've already gone through, licensing has requested that we leave certain things in the WAC, even though they are reiterated someplace else, just for clarification, even though there is no weight to them. So I'm concurring with centers that clarification needs to be there, but how it's worded so that we're not boxed in, or licensing's not boxed in, would be appropriate.
So my response then is the number of times within 3 years or less, maybe? Would licensing be okay with that?
Back to the RCW and see what it says, because we don't believe we can go against the RCW.
Somebody get my lawyer.
Where's Vanessa?
Yeah, we are going to caucus for what would licensing like? 2 minutes. I think Yvonne's getting him.
No, I'm just saying. They're protecting data. They'll tell you they're protecting data. This is unexpected. I know it's there's no. I know. So stop messing around with Katie. Damn it.
Probably change it. And then she didn't. So he calls me next morning. I can't get into my email. It's like, did you change your password? I said, oh no. God. So,
We're going to add on another 60 seconds.
That's amazing. So now I have to type it in every day for 180 days.
Because you know, when you're playing and not doing well, don't text me.
Centers and family homes are going to sidebar. Head Start ECAP also wants to have somebody sidebar with them, so I'll go sidebar with the Head Start ECAP.
I'm trying to find it. Now he knows.
Exactly, parents.
That's what Julie said. Oh, because it's missing the last three numbers.
We don't disagree.
What's the picture? We did. Sundays are gone. Yeah. And you know, we definitely touch you.
Dell is ready.
I like the graphics too.
Centers and with the consent of family homes are currently sidebarring with licensing as well. It's a sidebar.
Yep. Dell would just ask that you remove the or less and leave the rest of it in there, and we're fine.
Okay, here we go. Within the previous 3 years, we're going to do some voting here. Let's see it. Centers. Centers are all fives. Head Start are all fives. Parents. All fives, 1-4, I see. Licensing, we have, let's see here, I see 4 4s, 1 3. We'll get back to you, Judy. And family homes, all fives. So the 1 3 was Miss Judy. Please go right on ahead.
Continue to believe it's not necessary here, but it's not worth fighting over.
Okie dokie. So we're going to do all of subsection 1 now. We're going to start with family homes. Family homes, all of subsection 1. All fives. Dell licensing, all fives. Parents. All fives, 1-4. Head Start. All fives, 110 there even. And Centers, all fives. Look at that, subsection 1 down. Good morning. Subsection 2. Does anybody have any comments? Okay, we're going to take a vote. Family homes, we're on top of it. I see 1-4, all fives. Licensing, all fives. Parents, all fives. Head Start, all fives. Centers, all fives. Yes, I was going to say, can you turn that around? I need visual assistance. Subsection 3, any comments? Centers, go right on ahead.
We have two things around this. First, we want it to be not from the days of violation being identified on the FLICA, but from when we actually get the FLICA. Sometimes it takes a decent amount of time to get us that FLICA for a variety of reasons,
So
printing, emailing, all kinds of stuff.
So 10 calendar days of receipt of the FLICA.
And then we actually would like it to be 30 calendar days so that if there are any other entities or any fact checking we need to do, it's hard to do that in 10 calendar days. So before just asking for a
30.
supervisory review, we actually think this might cut down on them, because if we find that it's not necessary by doing some research, we wouldn't ask for it. But if we only have 10 calendar days, you might ask for it and then figure out you don't need it. So we would like it to be 30 calendar days.
Licensing.
We would be opposed to the 30 calendar days. We don't have a problem with somebody asking for a soup review and saying, I'm searching for other information. They can always withdraw it if they discover it's wrong. But to set it out 30 days when we could be talking possible health or safety violation, that we're operating under a safety plan or something else during this time, would not work well for the department.
Is licensing sticking with 10, or is there an alternative number
we
of
would
days?
stick with 10 because even 10 is a challenge.
Family homes?
Is alignment with our one concern is that in the past we've been able to ask for an extension, but it is not indicated here. So maybe that 10 calendar days with the option of a possible extension somewhere written in there,
So
if necessary.
after the word FLICA, I would say then just put a comma, or after, yeah. Wonderful. Well done, Lori. Is that satisfactory for? Oh, we have all the pinwheels. Go ahead, Centers.
Could we do 10 operating days? Because holidays and things like that, we would really, the 10 calendar days, depending on when this might happen, could be tricky. If we did 10 operating days,
We can live with 10 business days.
Business or operating days?
Business, so that we can track it based on what a normal business day is.
All right. So now we are looking at a section that says an early learning provider may request a supervisory review regarding the violation of laws or rules within 10 business days of the receipt of the FLICA or after a Dell approved extension. Wait, 0. As it's written, I mean, it's one whole section, so I'm going to take some votes for it. Family homes, all 5s. Dell is thinking. Parents are looking like it's all 5s, 1 4 in parents. Head Start ECAP, all 5s. And centers, I have, I think I see 1 4. No, those are, help me out here, guys. All 3s. Okay. Yeah. And Dell had no hands raised, so.
No, we have a concern here.
Okay.
We understand what you're saying about receiving the FLICA, but we also need to know that if we send it to you in an email, that it doesn't sit there for 10 days before you open it. And so we're not sure we're comfortable with that word. Maybe delivery of the FLICA or issuance or something else, because
Delivery sounds nice.
receipt wouldn't that mean when you received the email, not when you read it? Because and that's dated and time stamped.
That's true.
And that's the receipt of it. You received it. You didn't maybe read it, and that's silly, but you received it.
Can we pull up Merriam-Webster?
Yeah.
1 minute caucus is going to Dell.
going outside.
Forgot a winter blanket earlier, so we wrapped it in Matt's Carhartt jacket. That ball's about to go in the balls, and that doesn't know it yet.
Dell, one more minute.
Going in March.
Dell. Delivery is the word. Let's do this again. Maybe. Family Homes, are you guys good? Are you ready to vote? Friends? Friends? Sinners, do you need more time? Okay, 1 minute for sinners. Family Homes are sending an envoy to licensing for a quick sidebar while sinners are also caucusing.
Oh, that's right, then they wouldn't count Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And as an FYI, the Merriam-Webster definition of receipt is a little vague by my read. Sinners are good. Family Homes are still sidebarring a little bit with Dell. All right. Looks like Dell and Family Homes have got all settled up. Okay, here we go again. Subsection 3, as written now, we are going to take a vote. I'm going to start with Head Start ECAP. See all fives. Parents. All fives, 1 4. 2 4s. Sorry, help me out here. All fives over at Dell Licensing. All fives at Family Homes. And Centers. Is that all threes? That looks like all threes. Please speak your mind.
Just we can re-say that we don't love the word delivery. We think that if it's electronic, that's clear, but for people who don't have computer access, that could be a problem if it's mailing and things like that. So we're fine, but it's not our preference for word choice.
Thank you, Lori. So we've captured the intent here, I think, and Lori's adding this comment, and it will be lightly tweaked as it moves into final status. Okay, cool. Excuse me. Subsection 4. As it stands, I'm going to start with parents. All fives 1-4. All fives in licensing. Family homes 1-4, 2-4s, 3-4s, 1-3. We'll get back to you. Centers are considering. Head Starts all fives. Back to centers. 1 minute caucus for centers.
Saturday I go soccer.
And parents are sidebarring with Dell licensing as well.
Tuesday there was no swimming. I mean, I think he was just a combination of his routine. And he is very clear about his routine. Friday I go Saturday I go soccer. Tuesday,
Sidebar for family childcare is going to licensing.
he talks about it at night.
Licensing is very popular today.
He knows. He winds down his day and winds up every night.
And we talked a lot about these two.
I think we need to put a bit, like I'm in the process now, I want to put a visual calendar on the wall. We put a calendar coming. I want to start traveling. I'm trying to figure out what to start trying to max travel. Right? Because, so he goes, there's so many great representation that like I can listen to paper changes or something, that this many days I got at my home. Because now it's going to get longer. It's going to be less. It's going to be hard. Like too many paper changes. That's what we do. And I think if he and Matt make it together, then he can send us, hey, and then every day he takes one else. Well, you heard him, he says, when his house moves off and college fund, and that's like, he can see it, right? And this, I could hear it. We were totally fine when he comes back and works in Washington State, right? He's like, I'm paying the house off. You could see him like, and he's really motivated by it. And so it sucks. And my mom's there.
Centers are going to sidebar with licensing.
It's amazing that you have your mom.
So we're adding another minute and a half, 2 minutes to the clock.
No, well, I was talking about her. I would miss work. I would be volunteering and doing stuff. It's the best thing for us. I mean, I would have it. So anyway, I don't know. This new schedule will be interesting. We've been on this thing for 2 years. The first year he was there, he was on this resident schedule, so it was like 10 to 12 weeks with three or four weeks off. So it'll be interesting. Paper change is gonna be, but we've got to. We'll see how it happens. You know, we all know we made the agreement that anytime it's true, she takes out. We will just our style and totally fine. So we're yeah, in the state. He interviews his factory jobs every time he goes home. He's $77. It just hits the offer and he's like, I'll stick it out over here for more money, bro. milkshakes? Yes.
Centers? All set? All right. Family childcare? All set? Okay. I'm going to take a vote. Family childcare. I see 3 4s, 1 3, 2 5s at family. All 5s at licensing. Parents? I cannot see all hands at parents, please. Help me out here. All 5s, thank you. All 5s at Head Start and centers. I see 1 5. I see a 4. You get a 1-minute caucus.
You can only appeal a closure, that's why your supervisor reviews it. Isn't that, okay, 'cause not an appeal.
Sorry. So we have suggested language after talking to Dell.
Sorry, folks.
Could it say a FLICA is not subject to appeal unless there is enforcement action under Chapter 170-03?
That, I again don't believe that is necessary. This is in lieu of an enforcement action. When we get to the enforcement action, it talks about us having to give you your rights to appeal. The FLICA gives you your right to a supervisory review, and that's a policy. This is only informative that this is not adjudicated. These things cannot be adjudicated. And it would be, I mean, we could say that for every whack out here. You know, I mean, it doesn't make sense to put it in here. It only makes sense to let you know that that is not an option on these, on FLICAs.
Centers. Alrighty. I see all 3s at centers. So there was a 3 over in family homes. So please comment. Microphone.
It's an RCW, and in this setting, we can't challenge that, but just that, again, we don't like the fact that we can't appeal.
Noted. Centers. Concerns were echoed at centers. Okay. That's subsection 4. Lori's making a note. Subsection 5, we're going to move on to now. And any comments or concerns? We need to talk about it first before we vote. I'm not seeing anything, so let's see some votes. Family homes are all 5s. Licensing, all 5. Oh, sorry. 1 4 in family homes. Sorry about that. Licensing, all 5s. Parents, all 5s. Head Start ECAP, all 5s. And centers are all 5s. Oh, 3 at centers.
I am going rogue. I think it's just
Folks,
because it's
hold on, folks.
with the appeal and it's one of those things where if you need to escalate something to be able to talk to it, speak to it, and get resolution, yes, you have the right to refuse, but you really don't because 6 sort of says you don't.
Noted. Wish you could do that with speeding tickets. Okay. Subsection 6. Any comments or concerns before we take a vote? Okay, here we go. Centers. Yep. Yeah, yeah. All threes at centers, Head Start ECAP. All fives, parents. Funny, all fives. Dell Licensing, all fives, and Family Homes. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 fours and 2 fives. Centers, please state your concerns.
Our concerns are just because we refuse to sign the documentation that these are pretty severe things that could happen. So we just aren't crazy about it.
Can I respond?
Go ahead.
Is it okay if I respond?
Yeah.
This is a May, and it is just to be informative that these are things that could happen in the event that something became such an issue that it needed to. And so this is just informing so that you're not caught off guard if we're suddenly saying, well, then we're going to have to do X, Y, or Z.
Noted. We are going to move on to subsection 7. Any comments or concerns? We're going to take a vote, and we're going to start with centers. Going to move on to Head Start. All fives, parents. All fives. All fives in licensing. Yeah, 2 fives, 4 fours at Family Homes, and centers are showing all fives. Subsection 8, any questions, comments, or concerns before we take a vote? Okay, I'm going to start with Head Start ECAP. Oh, do we need to talk? Do we need to get talk? Nope. Okay. Head Start ECAP is all fives. Centers, all fives. Family Home, 1 4, the rest fives. Licensing, all fives, and parents, all fives. Subsection 9. Comments, concerns, questions? All right, here we go. Licensing. All right. Parents. All fives. Head Start ECAP. All fives. Centers. All fives. Family Home. All fives. Subsection 10. Questions, concerns, comments? Family Home. All fives, 1 4. Licensing. All fives. Parents. All fives. Head Start ECAP. All fives. And centers. All fives. Wonderful. Fives all around. Break time. And then after we come back from break, we're going to have 10-minute break, and we're also going to have TA resolution group start back up. Good job, guys. Zero, 3, 4, 5.
Or no referral status. No referral status. But you don't have to be on probation to trigger no referral.
Right. You can't take any kids on working connections. No, it's a must. You cannot take any new children who have working connections. That could be a problem, yeah.
So if a site that is.
It's okay, I get it. What are all your
It's also not, you can't cut all of this.
We could probably, because I saw that you asked her that, we could probably ferret out our kids, but. It's giant, yeah. Giant slide in it. Somebody tell me what is a good fit for her. With what?
You don't have to be strict with us, we're okay. She probably should have been your secretary.
Well, no, it's really hard for people and hard to aluminum, fluoride, it's supposed to reflect it.
All of our stuff, we make under a certain level of money. So our teachers,
I just wasn't walking around the track. I can
imagine some obscure little union. Well, in cases like this, when it's like really, everyone she works with is telling you, no matter what you give her, is telling you she can't do this level of work, and she's a program, what we call a program specialist. So, not an executive assistant, but not like a generalist receptionist. This is really like an admin person. To take meetings in a minute with 5 or 6 people, she can't take minutes in a meeting with 5 or 6 people. I can take minutes. And that, you know, like, oh. Yeah, she's, her name is Natalia, and she starts Monday the 27th, and she's from Pennsylvania. She moved here with her fiance. They did Head Start, early Head Start center-based, and home-based early Head Start and state pre-K, and they serve 1,200. So she has systems thinking, and because a lot of people, yeah, and then people that applied were great, but like, my program's 200, and it is just not the same. We were really concerned about people's ability to have capacity to handle our capacity, what our,
That's great. Okay.
Ed coaches. I think ed coaches we still have a few ed coaches, I think. And then TNTA person, for a couple, 1 or 2 for health, I think. We're still not fully staffed. So, yeah, she'll be, so there'll be someone who's really focused on services and someone focused on operations. Talina will be operations. Right. A new person will be services. They interviewed last week, second interviews on Monday. I will say this to you in a tone of silence. I made a fucking mistake. They left somebody out of the second interviews that should have been there. I'm pissed. I am so mad. I am.
Who did they move forward? Internal people or external people?
Both external. One of them we've worked with in a subcontracting role before, and it's like, really, Kay? Like what? she interviewed her. And I'm not saying people don't grow and change, but well, and I'm not saying I wouldn't have interviewed her in a second interview. I would have just been very thoughtful, and Kay will be. I will say that. You know, in the second interview, really personalizing it to all the things. So that person, it may come out in that interview. But there were two internal candidates that they did not move forward that are both fucking strong. And they were like, what I heard, because I haven't had my case, but she knows them well and things that on the grade, and she wants to try to manage how people react to this, right? Well, you know me, I won't say anything to people I won't say, I'll do the party line of like, I'm trusting the process. But she knows damn well I'm pissed. Because I supervised one of those people. Well, they reached out to me and said, and so I texted her and said, for the sake of transparency, I'm letting you know, because it was James. Did you ever meet James? He's phenomenal. But he's quiet and understated, but phenomenal. Do you understand? Like, humble, but phenomenal. And it was like he did not, didn't bring him forward, and he's a man of color, a male man of color. I'm just like, what did he not? So what she told Talina, because when she told Talina, I was Talina like, I text she said, people just didn't think they would be strong enough either. It's not to and then, but here's what I'm going to bring forward to her is like, Kay, you are talking out of both sides of your mouth. And I'm going to be very straightforward. I'm angry for these reasons. When I was hiring for the manager, for the parent leadership manager, when I was hiring for our family engagement and mental health, you and I had multiple conversations where we felt like internal candidates should be brought forward in order for us to give them the best chance possible to grow in our agency. You didn't do what you asked me to do. Talina's calendar. So it's two, are they? And one has no Head Start or ECAP experience. She's from DCFS or DSHS. Her resume is impressive, all of that stuff. But do you know when we have been through time to bring somebody up to another, and we have been in trauma. Our program is traumatized by recomp. I know it sounds dramatic, but it's traumatizing. And then we reorg everything so people are still saying, I'm so much about my job. I don't know. People tethered to, like all of this stuff when we look at change management theory and stuff, that's all happening. It's all happening. So why would you hire someone who doesn't know what doesn't know a Head Start standard from their ass in the ground?
Their competency and their ability to support that, and that's only going to prolong the cycle of change management and all. We invite all people.
I'm just like, and she didn't ask me to be on the interview panel or the second interview. She knows damn well I'll just sorry. So I'm just like, you made a mistake. But where I'm gonna really say is like, we made an agreement through all of this.
They're both white women.
And I think that's why one of them is in, because she's not a white woman. I'm gonna be really honest with you. And she's strong resume. I'm not saying that this is not a great person. I'm just not saying this is the person our staff needs. Those are two different things. Those can be two different things.
No, it's been, on my mind.
But I'm really
I
angry
slowed
that
down.
the two internal candidates who both could have done this job.
I'm focusing on the marketing guy.
And she's phenomenal. They're both phenomenal. Why would you not bring me back? Talina's mad too. And I supervise one, she supervises the other. So, we're both gonna bring our But I'm just gonna say, Kelly, you talk about equity all the time. We're doing this with every other position, with every other position. We have said if there was internal candidates, we would walk them through the whole process in order to give them every chance to have advancement in our agency, blah, 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 blah. Right? And I agree, even though I brought two people forward that I knew were not the right person.
But
I
in
knew.
that, you learn so much about them, you can help develop a plan for them to go into what they're going to do.
Exactly. And you can really justify if you get questioned, because I have hired, Quincy was a family support person in out in the center, and I brought her up. But I could clearly articulate why.
Good. Go for you. I'm excited. So I had to tell Bill really just details.
So I'm mad at him.
I'm going through my math, making sure this is all going, and then just catching up on some paperwork.
Yeah.
Because I meet with my
I don't know if
investor on
I don't think
Monday.
I will.
To do the initial first order. Tomorrow. I have to have it in by the end of the month.
She looks so serious at you. Why do you think you won't?
I mean, I'd love to, but I don't like to.
Well, make sure you're math.
I know.
She's managing her
I'm making sure I can go to him with the right numbers and say, this is what, and he's all excited. So I'm like, okay, this is what we can do.
Could we add that to the code of conduct,
My
please?
business plan.
We demand bacon until noon.
I've had no education in business, but I'm learning as I go.
Yeah, that's the best.
Do you love that sweater? I have it on
We
reserve.
stand right back up.
I have it on reserve for my stylist.
I love it.
Oh yeah, that does fold up. I have it on hold for my stylist. You have to iron it. You know, Cabby seems to do that. This wrap I was wearing yesterday was Cabby, and that seam flips up all the time. No, I don't do that. I don't own an iron, actually. I do, and it's probably there's a lot of dust on it. Yeah, I didn't cut your hair. I don't iron. I own a steamer. I saw my husband who wore the same pineapple shirt 2 days in a row.
Oh, I told him Victor Ross.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. My husband actually gets hired to shop for clothes. He's just like, yeah. Did you see my husband? He wore the pineapple shirt 2 days in a row. Let's be clear.
My husband's worked in soccer for years and years, so that actually he would actually like dress at all dressed up. It's like
And in his line of work, he always wears his FR, his fire retardant stuff. So he doesn't even bring those home. They just stay in Africa. And he has a whole different, like, FR.
yeah.
Anyway, that's funny. Yeah, he hates to shop. Although he pulled out some jeans and he's like, I regret saying this, but I need new jeans. And I was like, shopping! He was like, ugh.
Can we just put cholesterol on his shoes?
You know, we have discovered the Eddie Bauer. That is good. Terribly. Yeah. So, they wanted Woodinville? They have one in Woodinville. We were going to stop in North Bend on the way out.
We are just waiting to see you all know for parents to come back in. I see they're coming back in. While you're doing that, we're going to ask for a small group TA resolution to go out for 0360.
Which is what?
Program and daily activity schedule. 0360 program and daily activity schedule is going out to TA resolution. 0360 to TA resolution. Yeah.
I don't do schedules. I do.
So originally we were going to do 0345.
Well, I have.
But Dell tech writers need to write active supervision definition. It's not ready, so there's no point in going out. So instead we're going to do 0360 program and daily activity schedule. So 2 to 3 minutes to figure out who you're going to send out.
This is about what needs to be.
0360 program and daily activity schedule is going out. We were going to do 0345 supervising children. Dell has informed me that Dell tech writers needed to write a definition for active supervision. That's not ready, so there's no point in sending it out. So my apologies for that. We're going to do 0360 program and daily activity schedule. you need to know what's next in the full room, it's on the screen. Full room is on the screen. Full room is on the screen.
Pam.
I have an M&M's. Add a bag of M&M's.
Let me see what I might have.
Is this the parent notebook?
I have fruit bars. It's all right. I have a fruit bar. This will tide me over.
Oh, you don't, what are you saying? You don't get one of the snacks? Just tell me the reason. And the bacon. Leave the bacon.
Always.
I love bacon. I hardly cook it at home, but I love bacon.
We have not cooked bacon at home for over a year. We bought it last weekend with some friends in town, and we were going to see Bucks game, so I made a quick breakfast, and we had like
Yeah.
for the day. So you have to put it away, gone. Right.
So you're going to drink and have fun.
Yeah, I begged him on the second half of the game. Good thing it was an early game. It's fine on Monday morning. And our whole house for days. I walked in and I was like, oh,
That's a few minutes to send people out. I think if you could send 2 to 3 people out, we'll get started here.
what time is your flight?
Our flight's at like, what is it, 3 something?
The Metropolis or Sunnyside? Any other wine make on the way?
Well, I'm good with one.
Centers, have you sent out people? Okay. Hester ECAP, did you send people out? Yes.
Well, this is
Parents,
the
did you
new
send people out?
on Canyon Road, so I'll let you know.
Perfect. Licensing, did you send people out? Family, childcare, I see she's walking. Okay.
Like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
All right, so people are going out for 0360 program and daily activity schedule. If you didn't hear, we're not going to do in the small group 0345 because Del Tech writers need some time to write a definition for active supervision. So that's why we skipped over that one and went to 0360 out in the room. So back in the big room, we are now on 0450. You may have noticed we skipped a few. That's because you already reached consensus on it in the past. It's around 203. Somewhere around 203. 199 is what we're hearing from centers. Should be on page 199. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started while you guys look for it. So this section was called Parent and Guardian Handbook. It's now called Parent or Guardian Handbook and Related Policies. Number 1, an early learning provider must provide to each parent or guardian written policies regarding the early learning program implementation. Each enrolled child's file must have signed documentation stating the parent or guardian reviewed the handbook and made aware of the policies. Weight of 3. Number 2, an early learning provider must have and follow written or electronic policies including A, non-discrimination statement, B, a family engagement and partnership communication plan including 1, how the parent or guardian may contact the provider with questions or concerns. 2, how the provider will offer communication with the parent or guardian about their child's progress or concerns regarding their child at least twice per year. 3, how the provider will work with the parent to support the child's development, including developmental screening resources. And 4, parent or guardian's permission for photography, videotaping, or surveillance of his or her child. C, food service practices including guidelines for food brought from home. D, illegal drug use is not permitted in any program at any time. No smoking, vaping, alcohol use, or cannabis use is permitted. 1, on the premises for center-based care, or 2, in licensed place during childcare hours and family homes. E, infection control methods including 1, hand washing and hand sanitizers, and 2, cleaning and sanitizing or cleaning and disinfecting procedures, including the methods and products used. F, medical plan, including 1, when a child is too ill to be at the early learning program. 2, what occurs if a child becomes sick at the early learning program. 3, medication management, including storage and documenting when medication is given. 4, notice if medication administration is not offered at the early learning program. 5, injury or medical emergency response and reporting. 6, excluding from the program or separating a child from a contagious disease from other children. G, infant and toddler care covering 1, diapering procedures, 2, feeding procedures, 3, toilet training procedures, and 4, child sleep pattern procedures. H, program philosophy on how children learn, develop, and how this philosophy is implemented in the early learning program. I, child guidance plan, including restraint policy and forbidding corporal punishment in the early learning program. J, expulsion policy and procedures. K, early learning program staff to child ratio in assigned classroom if applicable. L, if the early learning program provides the following, they must include a policy for each that applies to their program. 1, care for children with specific or special needs agreed to and signed by parent or guardian. 2, caring for and teaching dual language learners. 3, religious and cultural activities and how holidays will be celebrated in the program. 4, transportation and off-site field trips. 5, pets and animals. 6, the potential health risks of pets and animals. 7, water activities. 8, overnight care. And 9, how weapons on the premises are secured. M, for infant care, safe sleep guidelines and requirements. N, program hours of operation to include closure dates and holiday observances. O, enrollment and termination requirements. P, fee and payment plan. Q, sign in and sign out requirements. R, information required for child's file, including 1, the importance and plan for keeping the information current. 2, plan to keep the child's information confidential. 3, who may legally access the child's information. S, children's kindergarten transition plan if applicable. T, what parents must apply for their child, for example, extra clothing or diapers. U, permission for parents free access to all areas of early learning program during business hours. V, termination of services, policies, and procedures. W, emergency preparedness plan, including 1, where the provider will take children if required to evacuate, and how parents will be able to make contact. 2, steps the provider will take if an emergency prevents the parent from getting to the early learning program. X, I'm going to run out of letters. The provider's duty to protect children and report incidents. AA, suspect child abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, or maltreatment reporting requirements for all staff and volunteers. BB, description of where the parents may find and review the early learning programs. 1, emergency preparedness plan. 2, health policy. 3, staff policies if applicable. 4, consistent care policies. 5, pesticide policy. 6, menus. That is all a weight of 4. Double check there's nothing else under here. There's not, so we'll put 2 minutes on the clock for a team caucus after a parent question or concern.
So, I'm looking at this document that was sent to me on 11/10/17, and all of my sub groups are different from what I'm seeing on the board. So my Y says the provider's duty, and on the board it said X with AA, AB, AA, AB, BB, blah, blah, blah. So it says X right there, where it says X, the provider's duty. Mine says Y. So I don't have an updated for this particular WAC. And this one is from 11/10/17.
It might just, I'm hoping it's just a numbering thing because we've been using this document consistently in the full group. So in your 2-minute team caucus, if you could just compare that the language is still the same, it's just a numbering situation, that would be really helpful. We can help with that. Go ahead, Sharice.
So my concern is something that us as parents brought up when we were in the negotiation yesterday with 420, is if smoking is, and I understand it's your personal car and your personal home, but for it to be included in there that you guys do smoke, so that if parents, we have the choice on whether or not we're going to allow our kids to go there. We have some kids that are very sensitive to tobacco, and you just airing out the room for 5 to 10 minutes, that's not going to be enough. So if there's somewhere that it could be weighted or worded in there that you just say, hey, we smoke, that could be just the parents' prerogative on whether or not we want our kids to be there. That goes for the home and the car. And then the other thing is on T, we feel like it should also say parents and our guardians provide. I mean, our parent dynamic, our family dynamics look a little different.
Okay.
So just to reflect that.
Thank you.
And I think I can address that numbering issue. So as Tina was reading through here, you saw that we still had some of those prep session comments preloaded. We didn't get them all stripped out like we should have. And before Tina started reading, I caught some at the beginning here, and I stripped them out, and I think that probably changed the numbering system a little bit.
Thank you. Okay, let's move into a 2-minute team caucus, and please consider the concerns that parents brought up in that team caucus.
Is there anything missing from the list? So in the smoking one, in the use one, can we call out in there must include personal use of licensee and staff use? So I think
That's D. Okay, so what language are you guys going to think?
Where is it at? Illegal no smoking.
it's permitted on the premises for center use or in the licensed space during childcare hours. So I think we would want to add an I and say disclosure of use by licensee or staff. It needs to be included in the handbook. Right?
It's for smoking, right? Not for cannabis.
Yeah. Tobacco, disclosure of tobacco use by licensee or other adults in the home or whatever. What? We're just talking about homes. We're just talking about in the home. In the center, it's not allowed anyway, so it doesn't matter. But they're saying you can use it in the home. So we're just saying we want to disclose if they choose to use it in the home, in the handbook.
Looks like teams need more time.
We'll see.
1 more minute on the clock.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, the formatting.
time needed. Okay, let's come back together then. Let's document all of the proposed changes all together, and then we'll go back up to the top. So, family childcare, did you want? Yeah, proposed changes.
Hopefully, yeah, it comes. This is a proposed change that we came up, would be under D, number 3. You got 1, 2, 3, and it would hopefully take care of the parents' concerns, having notify parents if smoking occurs in home or vehicle during non-licensed hours. Yeah. To make a new one. Yeah. Vehicles to approx. Yeah, it would be the home and the vehicle, because that's their concern, is that does that take up parents' concerns about the
Could you restate it again so we can get on the board?
Except those aren't illegal drugs.
No, they're not illegal drugs, but if you look on there, it says at any time, no smoking, vaping.
The second sentence, no smoking, vaping, alcohol use, or cannabis use.
Right.
So let's get that on the board before I have any comments on it, so everyone is on the same page of what we're doing.
Because we don't have G crossed out, we have it on there. Operating hours. Thank you.
Comments on this? Let's just walk through all of that and then we'll circle back through. Any other proposed changes? Licensing?
We had just a suggestion that is more formatting, that G, infant and toddler care, maybe fall under the, if the early learning program provides the following, which is K, because it is, we have programs that do not provide infant or toddler care, and they shouldn't have to have a policy around it.
You want to move G to?
Either under there or just to say. If
Under
the pro-
where, I'm sorry?
If the early learning provider provides infant and toddler care.
K says it's about staff to child ratios.
No, this is about they have to have the policy.
I see.
Yeah.
It's the numbering problem.
Yep.
Lori's got it.
Okay. And that would also be true for M.
Any other proposed changes? Centers.
Lost it now. It's D-I.
Can you read us what DI is so we can
Yeah,
make sure we get?
I just was saying
Oh, it's still
it.
DI. Great.
So DI, we would like it to be, instead of for alcohol, I mean, smoking and all that other stuff should never be done in a childcare center, but for alcohol, just while children are present. Because staff meetings, parent-teacher conferences, events that we might have, I know that there are events at other.
Kids going.
Yeah. And it's consistent with other language that was around alcohol. It was while children were present, was it, that we were talking about yesterday? Well, but I'm not okay with, I mean, we don't want any smoking or vaping or cannabis ever because there's residual stuff, but alcohol is not going to have residual
So,
effects on the childcare center.
Can we just say no smoking, vaping, alcohol use, or cannabis use is permitted? Alcohol use is permitted when children are not present.
Yeah, we
Up at
can
the
just
top instead
remove
of-
alcohol from here and then maybe do another one that says alcohol may not be used while children are present.
So take out alcohol use, so no smoking, vaping, or cannabis use is permitted,
Yep.
period. Alcohol use is not permitted while children are present.
Exactly.
So period, oh, okay, that's fine too.
Well, for fundraisers, if your parents drunk, they're gonna give you money.
And alcohol use is not permitted while children are present in licensed space. Okay, illegal drug use is not permitted in any program at any time. No smoking, vaping, or cannabis use is permitted. Period. Alcohol use is not permitted in licensed space while children are present. Good?
Well, I'm wondering, how does that affect a center? Does that mean that somebody can go to the office and drink alcohol?
It's a good green eye champagne on my desk.
All right, licensing.
So I'm wondering if we know what the intent is here, if we can maybe come to consensus on the intent and let that, because it's going to have to be cleaned up. I mean, there's no way around it. So we know that what you're asking for is to be able to have a party and have a glass of wine on site.
Or a bottle.
You're not asking to be able to drink in the office when children are present.
Not every day, no.
Okay.
Okay, so Lori's going to make that note for tech writers. Were there other proposed changes? I think parents, you had one on parent or guardians. When we go through, we'll make sure that's not on T. Okay, we'll go with that next. Head Start ECAP, did you have any proposed changes? Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay, can we go to T next? Okay, so let's move down to T, the old T. It just needed a parent and guardian. We needed to add the and guardian. Is it here, permission for parents and guardians? Parents, is that the old T? Like, permission for parent or guardians, free access, yeah.
And then, you now.
And you is also missing it?
Parent and guardian must apply.
Yeah, so you above, Lori. Any other proposed changes? You guys good? Okay. All right, let's go back up to the top then. All right, let's go to number 1 at a weight of 3 and measure consensus on number 1. Number 1. Head Start ECAP, all 5s. Centers are all 5s. Licensing, all 5s. Family Child Care, all 5s.
Can you just read the last sentence? Because it's not making sense to me. I'm missing something.
Yeah. Each enrolled child's file must have signed documentation stating the parent or guardian reviewed the handbook and has been made aware of the policies. Yep. Much better. Parents. All 5s. Katie, do you have a
No, sorry, I
okay.
was voting again.
Okay.
She was
I got you already.
I was very enthusiastic about it.
All right, let's do these in blocks. So let's do A, B, and C together. A, B, and C. 2, A, B, and C. I'll measure consensus on A, B, and C. Family, child care, all 5s. Licensing, all 5s. Head Start ECAP. Head Start ECAP. Thank you, all 5s. Centers, all 5s. Parents, we have 5s and 2 4s. 3 4s. Okay, let's go to D. We'll do D, just D alone, since we just made edits to this. Again, we made a new sentence. Alcohol use is not permitted in licensed space while children are present. And there's a note here for Dell Tech Writers to ensure that that's cleaned up, so you can have a place to have, you can have a party after hours. Or whatever else you're doing after hours. We're going to add number 3, notify parents or guardian if smoking occurs in home or vehicle used to transport children during non-operating hours. So I'll measure consensus on all of D.
So
That's it. D, 1, 2, 3. Yes.
you know we don't like to be ignored here. I guess my issue here is about grammar, and the notify parents this section just feels really weird to me. So when the tech writers, we're actually very supportive of all of the things within here, but I think we may need to have a new E, or it may need to just be cleaned up. So I would just make a note that the notify parents thing doesn't 100% fit with the rest of it.
So we'll go to centers.
But on I, where we say notify parents or guardian if smoking occurs in home, I think what we mean is in the family home center, in the license. Not necessarily if you have a staff person who does not smoke on the premises and smokes in their own home.
Yeah, we had actually just added a new E that said that you also have to include disclosure of smoking and cannabis policy for staff and family members outside of childcare hours in licensed space and vehicles used to transport children. No? Bad?
Let's measure consensus on D first before we. No, you're good? Retract? Okay. Let's remeasure consensus on D with those notes for Dell Tech Writers to clean it up. So D, 1, 2, 3. Family, child care, all 5s. Licensing, all 5s. Head Start, ECAP, all 5s. Okay, let's do a 2-minute caucus.
Oh, we really don't have an issue with your language. We're fine with it.
Now you don't want sidebar?
She does not speak for all of us. We really don't want any more sidebar. Can't do any of them as well. We need it. Oh. Did you solve that? In a big red shoe. Oh, look at that. He just keeps him busy, boy. That's great. We do a blonde gross motor practice when down there. Well, that all makes totally predictable. My mother she is more nervous. No, she wants a she's more of a homebody. Yeah. And she'll like go out and do some structured activity like being part of the kitchen and makes her all the scared a little more anxious. Yep. And we have a huge backyard. Go inside to warm up.
Okay, so before we come back, I want to point out that it is 11:20, so it is public comment time, but I just spoke with our 3 public members, and they've yielded some time for you guys to finish this up. So we were supposed to go from 11:20 to 11:50, so instead we'll cut that into 15 minutes, so we'll start public comment at 11:40 instead. Yes. 40. Did I get that right? 11:40. Okay, so when we left off, parents called for the team caucus, and there was a sidebar. So we'll start with parents.
Mike, I need a little bit of clarification, and that's from Dell, the licensors. When you have a business, you're not allowed to smoke cannabis. Yes or no? And then I got a part B to that. Okay, so
But it's now legal during non-working hours.
in a business. Okay, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm sorry, I got eye contact.
Could you use your mic, please?
In a licensed family home, we have to differentiate between licensed program hours and when they are just in their family home. And they have a right to do the things as a family home, as a family, that as a privacy thing that anybody else does, and we can't regulate that time. We can only regulate the time that they are open for childcare business. That's where our scope of authority ends, is at that point.
Thank you.
Anything else, parents? Okay, Family child care, did you want to report out anything from your sidebar, or are you good? Okay, so I'll measure consensus on D as it stands on the screen. Family child care, all fives. Licensing? Licensing, all fives. Parents, some fives, three fours, four fours, and 1 3. And a 10. Head Start ECAP, fives, and centers, fives. So we'll go back to parents and hear your concern.
So the reason why I have a 3 is because I have an issue with smoking in the business, even though it is a family home, because of the third part. Because even if you're not smoking during hours, that still is accumulated in the home. I'm willing to let it pass because I understand the privacy matters and it is their own home and everything like that, but still allowing that kind of smoke that lingers on the walls and on clothes, and it rises and goes through walls. Because I know for me at my home, we moved in, they painted the walls, but it turned out someone was smoking, and anytime it got really hot, nicotine and all that stuff came seeping in through the paint, and it was a health code violation, and I had to have someone come out and clean my house from hazmat because of health issues for me. So that's the only reason why I put a 3, is because I feel smoking or smoking cannabis shouldn't be allowed, period, anywhere where a child could come in contact with it, because the third hand passing.
Okay. Smoking.
More specifically, the cannabis part.
Okay. You can see the shovel? Okay. So let's move into E and F together. So E, infection control, and F, medical plan, which stops where Lori has highlighted for us. So we'll measure consensus on E and F together. All right, family child care, we have 5s and 1 3. Licensing, we have all 5s. Head Start ECAP, we have all 5s. Centers, all 5s. And parents, all 5s. And we'll circle back to family child care so we can hear your concern.
Based on the rest of this WAC and how prescriptive it is, I'm going to make an I statement here, not a we statement. I feel that this is infringing on my business. They're being prescriptive about what I have to have as part of my business. And so that I am fine with what's included in this. I have no objection to the wording. It's just the principle of the whole rest of this document that we are to produce is prescriptive in how we run our business.
Okay, so I'm going to guess that applies across the board for all of the handbook section. Your comment? The rest of the section, yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll scroll down to the next few sections. We'll figure out the numbering later, but for right now, H, philosophy, I, child guidance plan, expulsion policy, and staff to child ratios with the new infant toddler section moved under there. Let's see if you keep scrolling. This part actually needs to be part of it too, right? So let's, yeah. Okay, let's just do program philosophy, child guidance plan, expulsion policy, and staff to child ratio. HIJK. Measuring consensus on HIJK on the screen. HIJK on the screen. Family child care, 5s and 2 4s. Licensing, and 1 3, thank you. Licensing all 5s. We're doing HIJK. Head Start ECAP, all 5s.
Oh, I actually have a question about the expulsion policy. Because we're a small computer writing book.
Okay, Head Start ECAP has a comment.
I have a question, and this might be for Debbie, technical writers. We, in the expulsion work group, were talking about we were going to outline what needed to be in the expulsion policy and procedures. Would that then end up in this section, or does that end up in a different section? Thank you.
She said different section, for those who did not hear. Okay, so we're just waiting on parents and centers. So centers have 3s. Parents have 4s and 5s. So we'll start with family child care concern and then move to center concern.
Same as before.
Same as before. Centers.
Our only comment on this is that we really want to make sure that we have the restraint policy and training clear and the expulsion policy clear in order to have it in the handbook. We want that to be there, but we just need clarity around those two things that we still have a lot of discussion.
All right, so Lori's putting that on the screen, and we'll also put that in the parking lot since it's implementation. Okay. So we're going to do this big section next, L, and it kind of goes down longer, so we'll wait a second. Okay, so L, if the program, early learning program provides the following, they must include a policy that applies to their program. So if they provide infant toddler care, this is what they need. If they provide dual language, religious, transportation, pets, all the way down to if they have weapons. Right, so up here, L, down to where it's highlighted. We'll measure consensus on that section. Family, child care, all 5s and 1, 5s, 1 4 and 1 3. Licensing, all 5s. Parents, come back to you. Head Start ECAP, all 5s. Centers, centers are 5s. Parents are 4s and 5s. Family child care, CAT, is it the same concern? Same concern. Okay. All right, then we'll move into NOPQR. NOPQR. Safe sleep guidelines, program hours, enrollment and termination requirements, fees and payments, sign-in, sign-out requirements. NOPQR. Measuring consensus on NOPQR. Family child care, all 5s and 1 3. Licensing, all 5s. Head Start ECAP. Okay, so family child care had 5s, 1 4, 1 3. Head Start ECAP, all. Yeah, we did M. It was a part of L. We'll fix the numbering later. Head Start ECAP, 5s. Centers. Parents are all 5s. Centers are all 5s. Okay, that brings us to S, information required for a child's file. T, kindergarten transition plan. U, what parents must supply for their child. V, permission for free access. And we'll stop at W, termination for services. So STUVW. Measure consensus on STUVW. Licensing all 5s. Family child care 5s, 1-4, 1-3. Parents 2 4s. Sorry, family child care 5s, 2 4s, 1-3. Parents, come back to you. Head Start ECAP. Come back to you. Centers, all 5s. Back to parents, we have 5s and 2 4s. Head Start ECAP. 5s. Did I get center? I'm sorry. You got, okay. Great. So that brings us to X. Cat's concern, is it still the same? Thank you. X, emergency preparedness plan. Y, duty to protect children and report incidents. And let's just finish this out. AA, abuse and neglect. BB, description of where parents may find information below. So that's X down to the end. Yes. Family child care 5s, 2 4s, 1-3. Licensing all 5s. Head Start ECAP. Still reading? Oh, all 5s. Your hand was covered. Centers. You need. Okay, 1 minute caucus.
Okay. Yeah, we're all like, you can do that.
A red lion? The red lion?
All right, so we are waiting on centers and parents. Parents, do you need more time? You have a comment? Go ahead. So we have a parent comment. Time check, it is 11:39.
So, just for consistency, if in I, you can also do
Parents and guardians.
Yeah,
right here.
our guardians, and then also
the
in
provider will
BB.
take children if required, evacuate, and how the parents and guardians will make contact. Did you get? Is there anything else, parents? Go ahead.
And then to make it consistent all throughout the WAC, could you also add parents or guardians to reflect our different our family dynamics are different now, to reflect that.
Just make a note to Delta graders, make sure that's consistent across
Yes.
the WAC. Okay? Is that time? Okay. Centers, did you have anything from your team caucus?
Yeah, so on BB, where the description of the other policies, we would like it to say somewhere in there the description of these and other policies, because some of the things like our, I don't know, infection control may not be in the handbook. It may be somewhere else. So it'll just refer to the handbook that there are other policies and these are the other policies. Because I don't really want to put in the handbook every cleaning supply that I use. In case I change cleaning supplies, then I have to change my entire handbook and get everybody to re-sign that I changed my handbook. So just that there could be other policies that are somewhere else that they can review, and to list those policies, but other relevant policies.
Okay, so the major changes here are making sure it's parents or guardians and adding in other relevant program policies. So because we made changes, I'll measure consensus from everyone again. It was X to the end, adjust the language. Family, childcare, 5s, 2 4s, 1 3. Licensing, all 5s. Parents, all 5s. Head Start ECAP, all 5s. Incenters, all 5s. All right, so that brings us to the weight. So that's a weight of 4 for the entire parent or guardian handbook and related policies section. So measure consensus on the weight of 4 for the entire section. Measuring consensus on the whole thing, a weight of 4.
Can you scroll up to the first statement of 2? Just to the first sentence of number 2.
You're too far up. Yes. So it starts at 2. Sorry, the weight of 3 for 1 and for 2 and below is a weight of 4. Okay, so we're measuring consensus now. Family, child care, 5s and 1 4. Licensing, all 5s. Parents, all 5s. Head Start ECAP, all 5s and 1 4. Centers. I'm sorry? We're talking about all, the weight for all of 2 is a weight of 4. All of that language we just talked about, there's a weight of 4. Do you need a team caucus? Head Start ECAP, do you have a comment?
So I guess I thought that a lot of these policies were weighted elsewhere. So I don't think we have time to go through and check all of that, but I guess I have some concerns about double weights since we have weighted every policy in that other policy section. Yeah, we're suggesting an NA.
I am considering one to
Oh,
be
ex-
NA too, since the actual document is weighted. Oh, the other way around. Okay. Okay.
So 1, we already reached consensus. 1 would be a weight of 3, and then all of 2 would be a weight of NA. That's the proposal on the table. We'll hear from licensing.
Licensing is willing to concede that if they are otherwise, if they are already weighted for having a policy, then yes, that would be fine, but we're not willing to agree right now to NA because we would need to go back and check. We are now at the point where a whole lot of stuff we've agreed to taking weights off, thinking it was somewhere else. Well, now we're in the somewhere else, and we want to be sure that we're not taking it off again.
Okay, so what we'll do here is send this to Dell Tech Writers to do a review, and then we'll also bring it back up when we do our February full review of the weights. Okay? All right. So that means, yes, let's do a partial consensus to get it on the board. Nice job. Did you have something, Kat, before we move to public comment? Oh, you're saying the same thing I am. Yes, public comment time. Yes. It looks like we have yet another member too, so we'll transition to public comment time. I'll hand you guys the mic. We're going to have a 3-minute timeline for each person, and we'll ring the bell like we are for most of our timing.
Hello, I'm Nancy Gerber. I'm a family child care provider here in Spokane, so I didn't have to go far. And I'm also a former member of negotiated rulemaking, the one that took 3 years to happen. So I want to first of all thank you for your hard work and your dedication, because I personally know what it means to have all that time that you need to put in away from your family, and not just in these meetings, but the meetings around the meetings and the research and all that you did. So first of all, I know your pain, but also I know your dedication, and I really appreciate it. Let's see. At the time that we did it, we had other people involved as well. We had resource and referral people, we had some Department of Health, and this time I want to thank whoever made it possible to have our center people and our Head Start and ECAP and a larger representation of families, because I think that you all add a lot and it all affects all of us, so it's important that you're here at this table, so thank you. But this time I do see something different. We worked really hard to come to consensus last time because we considered it very important. I think it is as important this time, but I see some of the WACs that are being written as being unattainable. And that's a really big concern. When a center can't hire people because they don't come in already with those degrees or those qualifications, that's a huge problem. When a family child care provider can't provide, I think it's continuous sight, direct line of sight for a toddler because they just happen to have their back turned or whatever, and it's a single provider that's working in her home alone, that's a problem. So I would like for you to consider the people in this room came into this profession not to do less or be less or obviously to make a lot of money. The people in this room are above and beyond. And I think most providers come in with a very good intention. But these people in this room, you know, these are really excellent people that are really dedicated. And when they say, this is not attainable, we really need to listen to them. But these are the people that really do know. And I'm shaking. I know the Department of Early Learning has seen evidence of not such good care and even dangerous care. What I would ask is, it seems like sometimes it's the tail wagging the dog, and a lot of WACs are written to the very worst case scenarios. It seems like it would be nice if there was a better way to take care of those that are the big problems. We had and I don't know if he was called a supervisor or what he was some years back, and he had a philosophy here. He worked for Dell, and I don't know, Tim Nelson? Okay. he had a philosophy of, if he found a provider that was out of compliance, he would look first at, is this a good place for kids? And second, is this provider willing to make those changes to make it work? And if she was willing to do that, and if this was really and truly a good place for kids, he would work with her hard to help her come into compliance. He would look for the resources or do whatever he could. If, on the other hand, it wasn't a good place for kids, and this person wasn't willing to make that effort, then he did what he had to do. So I would ask you to think about that kind of a philosophy in all due respect, because I know you see the best, and unfortunately you see the worst as well. But know that the people in this room are really dedicated, and when they say there's a problem, please do listen to them. Thank you.
Those were fantastic comments, and I agree with everything that you just said, and I wanted to say from a home provider, thank you for speaking on behalf of centers, because that's appreciated. I used to be a home provider for 13 years, so I can understand some of the challenges, and I think the only thing I would really want to comment on, just as a kind of a cautionary tale as well, that as an example, like with the smoking thing, we have to remember these are people's homes. There are certain private things, and so you can only regulate towards the working hours and stuff. But I think it's important to remember that they're businesses, and they have clients, they're customers, and their customers are gonna decide, is that the place for their child? So if somebody was coming into my home and they didn't like what they saw, or they didn't like what they smelled, or the environment, or the interactions, they're gonna make a decision based on that. If they go in and smoking, for instance, is an issue, and they're not a smoker, they'll probably go, well, I like what I see, but that doesn't line up with me. So they're gonna make a choice, and if they don't like it, they're probably gonna take their business elsewhere, and in this case, their child elsewhere. So when we're aligning the wax and stuff, there's a differentiation between your centers and your family home, clearly. I don't think family homes should be regulated to the same stringent standard, well, in some things, because they are a home. So I think it's important to recognize that a family home is different than a center. As a ex-family home provider, I look at some of these things, I'm like, that would have been really hard to achieve all of that. So I can appreciate some of the struggles that the family homes are having. Now that I'm a center, I'm looking at it from a different perspective. And I'm thinking, I'm not ECAP, I'm not Head Start. So when we're trying to align to a lot of those standards, some of those things are not applicable to me, or would be very challenging for me as a business owner to apply across the board. So I would hope that those things are really looked at very closely, and an example of what I'm saying on that would be, and I don't think it was covered here today, and maybe it's for a future thing, or maybe it was something was passed. But one of the things I did read was on like special needs and requirements and requiring IEPs and things like that. I look at that as a center and go, that's a specialized field. I don't have that education. I should not be writing those plans. And so whatever the final judgment is on that, I would hope that those things are taken into consideration, because if we are made to do something that we're ill-equipped to handle, that is setting us up for failure. Likewise with the family homes. If it's so unattainable, we're setting us up for failure, and I don't think any of us want to be in a position where, as hard as we try, it doesn't matter, we're going to fail. So I would really hope that across the board, those things are kept in the back of the minds when final decisions are being made.
Please introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry. Ginger Still, and I do have currently 2 child care centers in Tri-Cities, and I'm licensed for like 176 children. Well, that's it, folks.
All right, thank you for the public comments, for your time coming this weekend. Thank you, center folks who have to leave early. The only housekeeping I think we have is that I just sent Lori some doodle polls, and she just sent those out to the team leads for the prep team calls, the 2 prep team calls that we agreed to. Does anyone have anything else before we adjourn? Awesome. So we went through 13 plus 11 plus 2 today. Who can do that quickly? 13 plus 11 plus 2. 26. All right, 26. Nice job. All right, I see lunch outside, so lunch is served. We'll see you guys in January. Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and other holidays that you celebrate.